Mataji, will you be? Is it possible for you to do the Manglacharan? Hare Krishna.
Yes, yes. Hare Krishna. Dana pranam Mataji. Dana pranam Prabhu.
Danvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Shwapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji, for this wonderful Manglacharan recital. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. We are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 2, Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is the cause of all causes. And the text for today is text 35 to 37, Prabhuji. I can hand over to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Is it possible for me to share screen so then everyone can also see the verse? Because right now I'm not able to share it.
Prabhuji, you should be able to share it now.
Okay. 2535, correct? Yeah. Okay. So thank you all once again for inviting me to your group. So we'll dive right in. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Canto 2, The Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 5. So it's verse number 35, and we'll do 36 and 37 also. So this is Lord Brahma speaking, and he has been describing how the creation has been taking place and so on. So he continues over here. He says, Sa eva purushastasmad andam nirbhidya nirgata sahasrorvangribahvaksha sahasranana shirshava. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord, Mahavishnu, although lying in the causal ocean, came out of it, and dividing himself as Hiranyagarbha, he entered into each universe and assumed the Virat Roop with thousands of legs, arms, mouths, heads, etc. Purport. The expansions of the planetary systems within each and every universe are situated in the different parts of the Virat Rupa, universal form of the Lord, and they are described as follows. So we'll continue reading the next verse, number 36. Yasyeha vayavairlokan kalpayanti manishina katya adibhiradha sapta saptordhvam jagadandibi. Great philosophers imagine that the complete planetary systems in the universe are displays of the different upper and lower limbs of the universal body of the Lord. Purport. The word kalpayanti, or imagine, is significant. Virat, universal form of the Absolute, is an imagination of the speculative philosophers who are unable to adjust to the eternal two-handed form of Lord Sri Krishna. Although the universal form, as imagined by the great philosophers, is one of the features of the Lord, it is more or less imaginary. It is said that the 7 upper planetary systems are situated above the waist of the universal form, whereas the lower planetary systems are situated below his waist. The idea impressed herein is that the Supreme Lord is conscious of every part of his body, and nowhere in the creation is there anything beyond his control. And then the last verse for today, 37. We're doing 37, right? Yeah, okay, it's in our list. Purushasya mukham brahma kshatram etasya bahava urvor vaishyo bhagavata padbhyam shudro vyajayata. Translation. The Brahmanas represent his mouth, the Kshatriyas his arms, the Vaishyas his thighs, and the Shudras are born of his legs. Purport. All living beings are stated to be the parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. And how they are so is explained in this verse. The 4 divisions of human society, namely the intelligent class, the Brahmanas, the administrative class, the Kshatriyas, the mercantile class, the Vaishyas, and the laborer class, the Shudras, are all in different parts of the body of the Lord. As such, no one is different from the Lord. The mouth of the body and the legs of the body are non-different constitutionally. But the mouth or the head of the body is qualitatively more important than the legs. At the same time, the mouth, the legs, the arms, and the thighs are all component parts of the body. These limbs of the body of the Lord are meant to serve the complete whole. The mouth is meant for speaking and eating. The arms are meant for the protection of the body, and the legs are meant for carrying the body, and the waist of the body is meant for maintaining the body. The intelligent class in society, therefore, must speak on behalf of the body, as well as accept foodstuff to satisfy the hunger of the body. The hunger of the Lord is to accept the fruits of sacrifice. The Brahmanas, or the intelligent class, must be very expert in performing such sacrifices, and the subordinate classes must join in such sacrifices. To speak for the Supreme Lord means to glorify the Lord by means of propagating the knowledge of the Lord as it is, broadcasting the factual nature of the Lord and the factual position of all other parts of the whole body. The Brahmanas, therefore, are required to know the Vedas, or the ultimate source of knowledge. Veda means knowledge, and Anta means the end of it. According to Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is the source of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. And thus the end of all knowledge, Vedanta, is to know the Lord, to know our relationship with him, and to act according to that relationship only. The parts of the body are related to the body. Similarly, the living being must know his relationship with the Lord. The human life is especially meant for this purpose, namely, to know the factual relationship of every living being with the Supreme Lord. Without knowing this relationship, the human life is spoiled. The intelligent class of men, the Brahmanas, are therefore especially responsible for broadcasting this knowledge of our relationship with the Lord and leading the general mass of people to the right path. The administrative class is meant for protecting the living beings so that they can serve this purpose. The mercantile class is meant for producing food grains and distributing them to the complete human society so that the whole population is given a chance to live comfortably and discharge the duties of human life. The mercantile class is also required to give protection to the cows in order to get sufficient milk and milk products, which alone can give the proper health and intelligence to maintain a civilization perfectly meant for knowledge of the ultimate truth. And the laborer class, who are neither intelligent nor powerful, can help by physical services to the other higher classes and thus be benefited by their cooperation. Therefore, the universe is a complete unit in relationship with the Lord. And without this relationship with the Lord, the whole human society is disturbed and is without any peace and prosperity. This is confirmed in the Vedas. Brahmano sya mukham asid, bahurajanya krita. So purport ends here. Offer my humble obeisances unto lotus feet of my spiritual master, who opened my darkened eyes and filled my heart with transcendental knowledge. I further offer my obeisances to all of you assembled Vaishnavas and seek your kind permission and blessings that we may recite Srimad Bhagavatam together. So, very interesting collection of verses as Lord Brahma continues. So here, in this chapter, right, Narad Muni, who is the son of Lord Brahma, he asked him in the beginning that, describe what is the world, how is it created, how is it maintained, who is controlling it, so he wants to understand, because he knows that everything belongs to Krishna. And he also knows Brahma is very powerful. He knows Brahma he says, like, you hold the universe in your hand like a walnut. So you're very powerful, but I know that you have your source of knowledge too. So can you explain all those things? So he asked some very wonderful questions like that. That yes, you're a major controller, but then can you explain how this whole thing is created? And then Brahma starts off right off the bat saying that actually it's all good that you ask me these questions. And I am doing this because it is coming from the power of the personality of Godhead, not me. So my source of knowledge, my source of power to do anything, my abilities to create, all that, my guidance, my direction, everything comes from the Supreme Lord. And I'm the secondary creator. First, the Lord creates primarily. You see? So it's very interesting how he starts out the conversation. And then he goes on describing that, I discovered that everything was already created by Lord Narayan. I am also created by him. It's just that he's engaging me in this service. Lord Narayan himself is supremely pure, he's spiritual. And at the same time, to facilitate all the desires of the living entities, he creates this material world using me as one of the helpers. He empowers me. So this is what you must understand. And then he explains all the different, like, Vishnu incarnations. And so at this point, right, we come to these verses that we're covering. So it's 35. And he's explaining, Se Purusha Tasmad Andam Nirbhikta Nirgata. So basically what he's saying is that he's lying in the causal ocean, and then he divides himself and he enters into the universe also. And he expands the Virat Roop. This Virat Roop is very interesting because Prabhupada explains that it is more or less imaginary. What does that mean, more or less imaginary? That means it is a representation of how the Lord operates in the world. It is not the actual way that he operates. You see, that's important to understand. It says, Kalpayanti Manishina. These great thinkers, they imagine that this is how the Lord probably operates. Oh, this is probably how he is. It's not a fact. That's not a fact. Prabhupada explains that these philosophers who are not able to adjust this idea that a simple boy with two hands playing the flute actually controls and owns everything. That is very hard for them to fathom. It's not possible. Imagine you go see a very successful enterprise, a huge factory that is employing 50,000 people, and there are branches all over the world, and it's like a company, and they manufacture all kinds of things, and they have all kinds of financial things that they do, and they have banks, and one company owns so much, and one person runs the whole thing. And it turns out that one person is a teenage boy who just plays a flute all day long. You'll not be able to fit that idea in your head. It's impossible. You imagine someone who's at least 65, 70 years old, or someone who's a super genius who's worked very hard, has got all kinds of degrees and all kinds of political, this and that, and abilities he's developed over the years, probably has, gone gray and bald, but he's very sharp, and, something. That's how you'd imagine. That makes more sense. It doesn't make sense to see a little boy playing the flute, eternal two-handed form, and also like running the universe from the cosmic level all the way down to the microscopic level, and in charge of everything, fully aware and being in touch with what's going on, while also supplying all the necessities, interacting with everybody in the right way, organizing society, organizing resources. So for them to fathom, to comprehend how that, and still accept that there is a powerful God who controls everything, they have to imagine this. So to imagine this representation of how the Lord operates, it creates, the Bhagavatam describes this Virat Roop. But he's explicit. Brahma is explicit. He's saying it's imaginary. He's not saying this is how it is. He's saying people have to envision this way so that it can fit in their brain, that how one person with a superpower controls everything. So it's fine. It's fine to imagine. It's not a big deal, And then he's going on to expand. Okay, so this imaginary form of the Lord, right, this Virat Roop, in that representation, it's almost like a diagram that represents the Lord, but it's not how the Lord actually looks. So then his mouth is the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas are his arms, Vaishya is thighs, Shudras. So now for the purpose of explaining how society is organized and designed into groups, right, we show the representation in the form of, Brahmanas is mouth, Kshatriya's arms, and so on. Then another place in the Bhagavatam, different universal forms are described. Like there's another form where it says that the bones are like the mountains are his bones, and the hair, the grass and all this, the hair on his skin, and things like that. The sunset is his dress. So those, again, that is not exactly the form of original Godhead, but it is just to help us appreciate the beauty and the genius of creation while still connecting it with the higher power of the Lord, the divine power. That's all. It's just to help us facilitate. It's a stepping stone for us to understand, because we are too conditioned to think it has to be this particular way. But the ultimate truth is Krishna, who is tending the cows eternally, and he sometimes shows that pastime here in the material world in his holy dham, but he's also eternally engaged in that in the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. Brahma is explaining this to Narada. And Brahma also fell for the same problem, same issue. When he saw Krishna as a young boy, he couldn't fathom, wait, this is the person who I worked for? Who created me, who created the whole universe? I don't know. I need to test this theory. So Brahma had the audacity to test this theory that this little boy is actually the Supreme Lord. And so he kidnapped the boys, the cowherd boys, and kidnapped the calves. We all know the story. And then Brahma was corrected and chastised by Krishna and utterly, disciplined. You can say. He was so confused. And then Brahma realized a big mistake. So it's understandable, is what we're saying over here. You see, that's why the Manishina, these people who speculate, they come up with these ideas, and it's fine. This idea is actually, framework is provided because Krishna creates these 4 groups. Even Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, right? Chatur varnam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasha. He explains to Arjuna these 4 varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. I created them. Why did I create these groups? There's a reason why these groups are created, to facilitate the smooth functioning of society. Okay, fine. Then who decides who gets to be a Brahmana? Who decides who gets to be a Shudra? People are born as Shudras. They're not like, it's so nice I'm a Shudra. Some people do, but the thing is it's like some of them, they feel bad. Why can't I be a Brahmana? Why can't I be a Kshatriya? Why can't I be a millionaire Vaishya? Or I don't mind being a Shudra as long as I'm a millionaire, whatever. So who decides who gets to be what? That decision is not arbitrary, random decision of the Lord. It's not that Krishna says, okay, I want you to be Brahmana because I like you, I'll favor you, and you go be Shudra. No, Krishna doesn't make that decisions. Krishna says, I'm equal to all. 9th chapter, na dveshyasti na priya. I don't do favoritism. So then who decides? And then he also, if you remember, he says, guna karma vibhagasha. That these categories, they are created not based on the birth, but based on the qualities and how they act in this life. So if the qualification is there to be Brahmana, and they also work as a Brahmana properly, then they can be considered Brahmana. If the qualification is Vaishya and so on. So it's not based on birth anyway. So he removed that idea of that is based on birth. But still, how is it that one is qualified to be Brahmana and can work easily as a Brahmana, and another just has no ability to do it? How is it that some people are just so good at business, it's just like breathing for them, and other people, they try business, it just doesn't belong to this, just making mistakes left and right at every step? They're not proper Vaishyas. How is that? Why is that happen? Because each of these categories, the categories are created by Krishna, but the allocation, who goes into which category, that is created by us. I mean, it is not created, but it is determined by us. If somebody is very good at playing the piano, you know that person has practiced a lot. He's practiced many, many hours, many months, many years. And he's become famous, world famous. He's traveling all over the world. That practice has allowed him to play the piano even without looking at it. He just does like this, and it's amazing. So it is the effort that he's placed many, many years. So it comes naturally. Now he doesn't, it's like breathing for him. So similarly, whatever we have practiced doing in the past, including many past lives, it conditions us. And what is that practice? Those practices are a result of our choices. If we choose to improve in a particular direction and make conscious choice at every junction in life to improve and become better at particular thing, our choices determine our level of conditioning. And our level of conditioning, which is based around 3 modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Whichever choice that we make, if they're prominently in the mode of goodness, our existence, our mindset, our mentality, our preferences, proclivities, tendencies, talents, they will be driven by that choice of mode of goodness. Same thing, if I tend to choose mode of passion more, then the same, all those attitudes that develop in me will be driven by that. Every choice I make will make me closer to one mode or the other. Sometimes it's one mode purely, sometimes it's a combination of 2 or 3 of the modes, and that becomes prominent in my conditioning. Now, when I've become conditioned very deeply, then I wake up in the morning and I'm tested by anything, I will naturally act reflexively, almost without even control, in a particular direction because of that conditioning. This is why Krishna says, right, in Bhagavad Gita, one is forced to act helplessly according to the modes he has acquired. You remember that verse? Forced to act helplessly according to the modes he has acquired. How do we acquire the modes? Over lifetimes of choices. Those of us who tend to be very lazy, we have been choosing to be lazy. And therefore, we have acquired the mode of ignorance. And so it's very hard for us to come out of that mode. We have to work hard to come out of it. And if that conditioning is so deep that it is not possible to change it in this lifetime, that will determine whether I fall in the category of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. That is important to understand. Okay, look, for you, you are a natural warrior and you are a natural administrator. You should take up a career in Kshatriya line. It's just obvious this is what you do. You're good at it. You should develop it more. This way, society will benefit because everything each of these groups do, they benefit society in their particular way. So you use your energy and time to uplift society using that talent. And that talent is a combination of your modes, really, that you've acquired over many years, many lifetimes. So you just work around this. Kshatriya has its own code. Kshatriya Dharma is there. You follow that, you'll be able to leverage your conditioning to improve your situation, improve the situation of society. And at the same time, all 4 of these categories of people can make spiritual progress, no matter who they are. See, so you fit yourself in the right career, right service to society, you'll benefit society. And if you do it according to the codes of that particular group, the dharma, then you'll be mentally at peace, so that with that peaceful mind, you can make spiritual progress and chant Hare Krishna. All these people are supposed to chant Hare Krishna and make spiritual progress, while minimizing the amount of disturbance in our families, in our lives, in our society. That's the whole point of this creation. See? Now, there may be certain things that we can change. We can change our habits of daily waking up in the morning, something that we can change. That those things anybody can do. Change those habits. I'm going to start chanting these rounds, wake up early, regardless of whether I'm Shudra or Vaishya, whatever. We should all do those. So whatever we can change, we should change to come closer to mode of goodness as much as possible. And then things that are just so deep that drive how we can contribute to society, that we can use to determine whether we should be a Brahmana Seva, or doing Kshatriya Seva, or Shudra Seva. So that's the 2 things, 2 levels of conditioning. That's all it is. If conditioning is so deep, we can't change it. Use it to find out where I belong in the career path. And if there are parts that we can change, let's change them to improve, to come closer to Krishna, to come closer to the mode of goodness. And that's what this understanding of the 3 modes comes into play. The understanding of the purpose of these categories of people, the 4 categories of people, the 4 career paths, you can say, and how they are interacted. So Brahmanas are considered predominantly mode of goodness. Kshatriyas are considered predominantly mode of passion. Vaishyas are considered predominantly mixture of passion, ignorance. And Shudras are predominantly ignorance. Now, even among these, you'll find more combinations. Like, for example, even among the Kshatriya class, there are those who tend to be more Brahminical among the Kshatriyas, who tend to be more thought process type oriented, whereas there are others who are more fighters. Give me the weapon, I need to fight someone, like that. And then same thing among Brahmanas. Some Brahmanas will be like, don't involve me in this in management. I'm just going to focus on studying Vedas and teaching. And then there'll be other Brahmanas who will teach the Kshatriyas how to manage properly. Like Dronacharya, he's a Brahmana, but he's teaching them how to use weapons, how to manage, how to do administration. So even there, you'll find a spectrum. So there's this is just a framework for us to understand how things line up. You see, once we understand the purpose and the reasoning why these groups are created and how they come about, then we can rise above all this petty politics about how people are born in a particular family. Oh, he's born in a Kshatriya family, stay away from him. Oh, he's a Shudra, you should never. No. All those silly political things that people make because they misuse the framework, we can step away from it. We can rise above it because we know the purpose behind this framework, why the Lord created it, how it is determined who ends up in which category. You see? And then when you understand that the mouth of the body and the legs of the body, all these analogies, then things become very clear and we can understand the ultimate goal of everybody is to know the Lord. You see? The Lord is source of everything, and the end of all knowledge is to know the Lord, know the relationship with the Lord. So the Brahmana's job is to teach that point to the other people and to also themselves act in that category. So those of us who find ourselves in ISKCON or in Krishna consciousness, any Krishna consciousness path, we are encouraged to develop first and foremost, as much as possible, the understanding, the knowledge, the philosophy. Depending on how Brahminical we are, we'll go deeper into it or not. That's fine. But we all have the capacity to understand some of it and to apply it in our lives. And then, if possible, to share it with others too. Krishna says, no one is more dear to me than one who shares his Bhagavad Gita knowledge to other devotees. He says that. And in the future, there will never be anybody more dear to me. He says this 18th chapter. So it is important for us to learn this Krishna conscious process, to apply it in our lives, regardless of where we are in our career path. It's just a short life anyway. We live 80, 90, 100 years maximum. It moves very quickly. Let's not get distracted by pettiness. Understand how the frameworks work. Try to be peaceful with each other. Try to be kind with each other. Try to be kind to yourself, like giving yourself as much Krishna as possible. And make rapid progress in Krishna consciousness. Knowing very well, it's a short life. The Lord will be very pleased if you understand Bhagavatam, if you understand what he wants us to do, and then do it. Give up things that are detrimental to our Krishna conscious growth. Take up things that are beneficial to our spiritual life and treat each other very nicely. It'll please the Lord. We'll get tremendous blessings. And every day, every single day, like you're already doing, let's dive into Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's understand what all these great personalities, divine messages, they're telling us, what to understand, how to apply in our life, and how to make quick progress. The Bhagavatam is pure like that. So let's make note of this. And every single day, find one thing to improve of that we've not done before. One perspective to change, one attitude to change. Before you know it, you'll find yourself coming much closer to perfect human being. So Prabhupada wants us to do. So Krishna wants us to be. It'll please him like anything. So thank you very much. I'm going to stop here. I think we can open it up for questions, comments, discussion. It's a lot of material that we covered. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for today's session. And it was very powerful, short but very powerful. And I particularly resonate with one of the things that you've just said, that one attitude or just one small thing change every day would make a difference. I now open it up to to any other questions or comments from other devotees. Hare Krishna. Anybody with a question or a comment?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Partha.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much for a nice and wonderful class. Prabhuji, I think that like you describe about the universal form of the Lord, this is mountains are the bone, these rivers are the bloods, this one, that one. So how can we understand that one?
Yes. How can we understand? We should understand there are many ways to look at it. First, we should first try to understand how much our capacity is to understand anything. If I have a hard time accepting that a boy can control everything, then you put that idea aside and at least understand that God is present in the universe everywhere. When you go out for a picnic, if you go to Rift Valley or something and you see the beautiful mountains and escarpments, and you see the greenery, you see the river flowing, you see Athi River or Tana River, all these beautiful things that are available. You go to Lake Victoria, you go to the ocean, Indian Ocean, amazing things you see. If we have read these descriptions of Bhagavatam about the rivers being the veins of the Lord, the mountains, Mount Kenya, or whatever, being like the bones of the Lord, what will happen when we see impressive things like that in nature and we remember the Bhagavatam descriptions? We will get excited because those things are exciting to see. And our excitement will take us to the transcendental Krishna conscious level. Wow, the sunset is so beautiful. And he's describing in Bhagavatam, this is like the dress of Krishna. I can imagine how beautiful Krishna's dress must be. So that is one way of looking at the nature. Now, there's a childish way of looking at nature. In fact, I actually saw this when I was much younger. And I was going with some devotees. And we were just looking at the sunset over the ocean. And one person said, oh, the sunset is so beautiful. And another person said, no, you should not say that. What do you mean? You should not say that. No, if you get attracted to this material world, it's Maya. You should just focus on Krishna. This is a beautiful sunset, all that will take you away from Krishna. Then the devotee said, actually, see, the heart finds this beautiful. If we can somehow connect this, isn't it better to say that, yes, this is ultimately all matter is Maya in one sense, if we think it's separate from Krishna. But if it reminds you of Krishna, isn't that a better, healthier way to see it? Krishna says, I am the light of the sun and the moon. Let's think of Krishna when you see that. Krishna says, the sun and moon are my eyes, and the sunset colors are my dress, So this way, there are two ways to look at it. You can look at it from a childish way, or you can look at it from a mature way. So it is also described among tribal people, like there's tribal people everywhere. The tribal people in India, in Asia, the tribal people in Africa. So again, tribal people, because the philosophy is not as sophisticated, but they still have a lot of respect for the higher power. They make the same analogies. See, this is body of God and things like that. The same kind of examples there in tribal philosophies also. Not philosophy, tribal stories. And they carry down generation to generation. It's a very beautiful system because we can't imagine there's a person who does that. So let's see that it's again a huge body. It's still a person, but a big body. And we are living on top of that body and we're getting all our food, everything from the Lord. It's very nice. It's a good way to respect, appreciate, and love God. And what Prabhupada is trying to explain here, what Brahma is trying to explain, that yes, it is one way, but because it is not exactly accurate, it is not complete, therefore he calls it kalpitasya, kalpita. It is imaginary. You use the imagination to connect what a natural phenomenon to God. It is good because you connect it to God, but it's incomplete, and therefore it is kalpita. It is imaginary. It's not 100% accurate because it's not the full picture. Sometimes people take this, there's a picture of Virat Roop in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna shows his Virat Roop to Arjuna. And there's a big painting, you buy a big poster of it, and people put it on the wall. It's nice. You should put it on the wall. It's very beautiful. But some people say this is the real form of God. Because he's showing Arjuna, he's impressing him. Arjuna is shaking in fear. This is the real God. No, that is not. Actually, the little Krishna is standing next to him, showing the universal. That is the real God, who is the source of the universal form. But some people think, no, that is real God, and from that big one comes the little Krishna. No. Some people come to that conclusion. It's somewhat logical in one sense, but that is not the fact, you see. And in the purport in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada calls the universal form a godless display of opulence. Did you know that? Yeah, look it up. See, sometimes we read Bhagavad Gita, we forget all these things. Godless display of opulence. What does that mean? This is not God. That is what it means. But it is used to impress upon people who don't believe in God. It is used to, someone claims that I am God. Okay, show me universal form. Okay, then if you can't, then you're not God. So this is one way to one reason why Krishna does that. But it doesn't always work. You know that. Suppose someone says, I don't believe in God. Suppose. And then at the street corner, Krishna comes, shows his huge universal form. Now you should believe in God, right? You saw it. It may not work. You know why? Krishna showed that universal form to Duryodhana also. You think Duryodhana accepted Krishna as God? No. He still kept fighting him. It doesn't work always. You know why? Because Duryodhana has no faith. You see, for one who has faith, no miracle is necessary. And for one who has no faith, no miracle is sufficient. So the only thing that makes a difference is the faith, not the miracle. Otherwise, everything is a miracle. The way your hand moves, it's a miracle. The hair growing out of your skin, it is inconceivable. Everything is a miracle. And you can be in ecstasy just looking at your own hand and be amazed at how Krishna is designed. It's an amazing thing. You can find ecstasy anywhere if you're connected with Krishna. That is why it is encouraged to see everything as Krishna's energy and the genius and the beauty of Krishna and the scientific engineering of Krishna. All that, if it keeps blowing our mind, how amazing, and then we can smile and we chant Hare Krishna. That is how we should see. So to answer your question, Parth Prem Prabhu, we should see, but always don't lose the connection. The original is the blue boy playing the flute. From him, all this comes. So we can appreciate him. We can appreciate all the Vishnus. We can appreciate the earth. We can appreciate the rivers connected to him. And we appreciate each other. We appreciate the Guru Parampara. And we fall in love with everything in the proper context, proper perspective. And you will find that there's nothing but happiness in this Dukhalayam world. This world is Dukhalayam Ashashvatam, but you'll find only happiness if you connect with Krishna. Huh? Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions or comments? Okay, if there are no questions or comments, Prabhuji, we have changed the format a little bit. At the end of every class, we try to summarize whatever has been said. And this service is going to be done by Pramila Mataji. Mataji, can you please summarize today's session? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for this opportunity. Prabhuji, please forgive my voice. We are very honored once more with your presence and knowledge, which we really appreciate. I have made some notes, so I'm more or less echoing what you've told us, but please correct any mistakes I make. So unfortunately, I joined a little late, but so I picked up from when, excuse me, you talked about Narad Muni when he was asking Lord Brahma in the beginning, how is the world created? Who is controlling it? And other questions about creation. So he says to Lord Brahma, you're very powerful, so please explain this knowledge. And Brahmaji tells Narad Muni that this comes from the Lord, who is the first creator. I am only the second creator. So our Lord Narayana created me, and he has empowered me and engaged me in this service. So the Lord lies on the causal ocean, and he expands himself into the Virat Rupa, which is imaginary. And Srila Prabhupada says in his teachings that, the philosophers could not adjust to the idea that a young boy could actually create this universe. And they couldn't, and how could a young boy be fully aware of what is going on? So to imagine how the Lord operates, they came up with the imaginary form of the Lord, the Virat Rupa. So this, and in the different parts of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord is described differently to help us understand Him. And the ultimate truth is Krishna, who is tending the cows, but he also controls everything. And Lord Brahma tried to test him out with the theory of stealing the cows, but Lord Brahma was certainly learned a lesson as a result. And he did realize the Lord's power then. And you told us about the 4 groups the Lord Krishna creates: the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Sudras. So there's a reason to facilitate this functioning for society. But who decides this? Which class we actually come from? But that decision is actually based on our own qualities from our past lives and our actions and how we choose to live our lives, the conscious choice that we made. And these are based on the 3 modes of nature. And we should be aiming towards the mode of goodness. Now, the 3 modes are obviously goodness, passion, and ignorance, and that conditions us. So we acquire these modes by a lifetime of choices, but we can change our habits to move to the mode of goodness. And when we understand the different groups and the functioning, it will help us, and things will become clearer, and we will know the Lord. And in the Krishna conscious teachings, the devotees, we learn, we understand the philosophy and practice. We share this knowledge like you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. We must try to be peaceful and be kind to each other. Then the Lord will be very pleased with us when we practice these teachings and share this knowledge, like this group every day arranged by Pratika Mataji, who has given us this wonderful opportunity, who arranges speakers like yourselves who are so very knowledgeable. So thank you, Prabhuji. Please correct any errors I made for the Krishna.
Oh, wonderful summary. Thank you. It's a perfect summarization of the essential points. Appreciate your effort in this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji, for summarizing. And I'll now hand over to Path Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Is it possible for you to end
Hare
this session? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your nice class. Always your class is very nice and very many points. It is short and sweet class. Also, thank you very much, Pramila Mataji, for her wonderful summarized the topic. And also thanks all the devotee in this forum who joined every day without any break. I request everyone, please unmute yourself and chant Hare Krishna mantra for glorification of His Grace Madan Gopal Prabhuji. Please join. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
His Grace Madan Gopal Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhaktivinda ki jai. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Bol. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you
Hare
very
Krishna.
much,
Thank you. See
Prabhuji.
you soon. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Bol.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for an excellent class today. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.